Hello and welcome to the Inbetween podcast. I'm usual host Joe Scorn and joined by Tony Tones at RT. How are you, Tony?
Hello, do good. It's
Uh,
actually a Sunday.
it is a Sunday. I'm also not on the Enterprise because I couldn't be bothered to reinstall RTX
Oh yeah,
broadcast. I was like, you can just see the really boring background of my room that I have my PC in. You can see
but you
my.
can't backdate to the work.
I can. I just have to reinstall it, set it all. Do you remember
Okay.
it took like I had to restart my computer just to get the webcam to be picked up again by OBS after I
Yeah, yeah.
reinstalled RTX. I was like, fuck it. I don't need the audio suppression right now because it's not summer, so I'm not having the AC on. So I'll just leave it like this for now, and I'll just keep an eye on it. But this week when we talk about speaking of RTX, Half-Life RTX demo is coming out in a couple of days, March 18th. So you'll be able to play through Ravenholm with ray tracing, and it looks how I imagined Half-Life 2 looking when I was playing it for the first time at like 10 years old, something like that. Um, we've also got, I'm going to be talking about dancing dinosaurs, and I'm also going to be talking about, there's a second Power Wash simulator coming out for some reason. Not 100% sure why, but there is.
Yeah, it's a whole new game.
Yeah. Should we get straight into talking about
Yeah.
games? Uh,
You seem unsure about that one?
well, I just don't know if you had anything to talk about, but
No, no, no. No, it's go.
power. I've been playing Power Simulator. I've been playing the Wallace and Gromit expansion pack that came out. This is probably one of the last DLCs to come out to the base Power Simulator. I'm guessing. I don't know if they're going to do like cross-release DLC between the second and the first one. They said they were going to announce more stuff about Power Simulator 2 in the future. Um, but yeah, the Wallace and Gromit DLC is pretty good. Um,
Okay.
wasn't too long. I think I streamed some of this to you. You saw like,
Yeah, yeah, I saw some
did
of
you
it.
see like the moving train around Wallace and Gromit's house?
No, I
You,
saw the moon one. I think I saw a bit like the very end of the one before that, like the garden one.
yeah, so you could do a garden one where you could like, you might have seen we were cleaning vehicles in the garden, but you were also in that
Oh,
garden and you
right.
could clean up the garden and you could like flip the pond up and down to clean. In the films they
Oh,
have
yeah,
like
yeah.
the go and
Yep.
stop gnome on the
Mm-hmm.
pond. Yeah, you could clean that.
The mini Thunderbirds front garden.
Yeah, they also had the basement. Um, but yeah, it was a pretty decent DLC. There's also a new bundle called the Ultimate Satisfaction bundle, so you can. Because I already own all the DLCs. When I purchased this, it was cheaper to get the bundle. It was like £1 cheaper to buy the bundle because I already had all the DLCs. So that was nice that it was slightly cheaper because I was a returning
Yeah.
customer.
Yeah,
Um,
that's quite nice.
yeah, I've also been playing Nubby's Number Factory turning, which I've
Oh
also
my God,
been
yeah.
streaming to you.
Yeah.
Which so I was on Twitch like 2 days ago, and I was watching Northern Lion, and he was sitting there complaining that people are always complaining that Canadian geese are very angry and that they're not that angry. It's not their fault they're angry. We're invading their space and we're the assholes in the situation. And the entire time I was
Sure.
looking at the game he was playing and I was like, what the fuck is happening in the background? Like, it's literally like Y2K, like Peggle with just insane shit going on. And I was like, this looks. First, I have no fucking idea what's going. It's so confusing, but also it looks really fun. And I've been playing this, and yeah, it takes a little bit to like start to understand what is happening. But once you do, it kind of like scratches that like Balatro Vampire Survivors itch, where you're just like constantly pushing to get to a point where you just see like those massive numbers and your neuron receptors are going. You're playing your ethical Skinner box game, and you're just you're pulling those
Yeah,
slots.
you've got all the synergies working. You built it, it's now working.
But, I also sent you this image, which this was literally how I felt when I figured out how Dancing Dinosaur worked, because I kept seeing Dancing Dinosaur and trying to play it, and me and you were like, why the fuck is Dancing Dinosaur good? Like, it cost 8 gold. I have no idea why it's good. And then suddenly this morning I was playing again, and I was like, wait a minute. The fucking dots are connecting. The dots are connecting. Like, you want to half the pegs and you want to double the pegs. And I figured out the Dancing Dinosaur build, which I can go into if you want to talk about that.
And you knew we were going with it.
Yeah.
What's the good?
Tony, I've watched the entirety of Free Run. I understand why people love this show. I also fucking love this show. It is fantasy done right. It is. It almost feels like a anime version of Lord of the Rings. The music is fucking amazing. I've been listening to the soundtrack around the house and out when I'm on my bike. It's very, very good.
It's been a while since we had a good like fantasy, at least in my opinion. Like
well, it's mostly isekai trash because I've also still been watching Welcome to Japan, Mrs. Elf, which is kind of a shit show. The Evan Call does the soundtrack to Free, and it's
I think there's a place for those, right? I don't know. It's just like there were too many of them. I'll say that.
Well, with that show, I was like, oh, they'll use the isekai in order to get the random elf woman into Japan, and then we can get hijinks in Japan. And then they just keep swapping between, like, one episode's Japan fish out of water story, and then the next episode's like isekai again. And I'm like, I just don't care about him being a level 72 peddler who has the illusionary swordsman skill. I was like, I just want to see an elf running around Japan being very confused by everything. I don't really care about the isekai stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
As an aside, I think what makes Free Run so good is that it's a great world they've built, and it's a great characters and story, but it's told from the perspective of somebody who is almost indifferent to time and the effects that being indifferent to time would have on a person when they get to see everybody else around them like age and die, and how little.
Which is a theme in Lord of the Rings, like the elves of Lord of the Rings kind of have this, but it sounds like.
But imagine if Lord of the Rings was from Legolas's perspective, or something like that, right?
Watching the films, he kind of looks like he has like the same sort of motivation as a human, but like, would he like look at the elves and like I think other parts of the book? I've not read them, but like, what I've heard is like elves have a very, very different outlook on time.
But I think I watched Free in like a couple of days. It's like 28 episodes, but I kept watching. I mean, the soundtrack is really good. Like, definitely one of the best animes 2024. Highly recommend anyone to watch Free. Like, I want to recommend this to my friends who don't watch anime. I'm just like, you should. Freeman is just a fucking good show. Like, you should just watch Freeman.
That's how I felt with like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Is like I don't think
Full Metal Alchemist. So Freerun is the #1 rated anime on my anime list, but I think Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is like one of the other top ones.
Yeah, it was definitely in the top.
It's number 2. It's literally number 2. And one of my favorite animes of all time is number 3, Steins Gate. I fucking love Steins Gate.
I need to watch that.
But yeah. It's like, you know how I was saying like Machiko and Hatchkin is a great show because in the sense that you don't need to know who Hiroshi is, because you almost never meet Hiroshi, but because it shows you the world and the actions of Hiroshi, you're like, oh, I know who Hiroshi Morenos is. Freeman is that, but like it's for the hero's party. It's like, I know who Himmel the hero is, and he's like a fan favorite character, and he's like almost not in the show because of the time that we see Freeman and her new part. Like, Freeman starts at the end of a journey that you almost don't see any of. You just know that the party has gone out to slay the the Demon King, and
Mm.
it's had this huge impact on the world. But to Freeman, it's like it was 10 years. It's 1/100th of her life. She's 1,000 years old. Like, what significance does that mean to her? But she realizes that she's spent so long on this earth that she's kind of upset that she didn't know the people that she was close to better. And she kind of wants to more slow down to their pace, and she can experience more stuff like humanity through humans and through traveling with humans. But yeah, it's a good, like, I would. The only thing I didn't like about Freeman is I love the start. The start, Tony, it almost reminds me of like a really light-hearted Mushishi, except you have a
Oh, okay.
character with like a strong personality. Like my issue with Mushishi is there's almost no supporting characters. The supporting
Yeah.
characters in Fruin are fucking amazing. They're really well written, really interesting, and the first episode is set up. They sort of like travel around towns, and it'll be like months will go past or years will go past, and you'll see the different seasons because all time is measured based on it's like 80 years since Himmel the hero died. Like it's
Oh, okay.
all time in the
Relative
show is
stuff.
structured based on the hero party coming to an end and the loss of Freeman's teammate from those many years ago. And but then so we get like I was like, oh, this is going to be like a really chill, lighthearted show. In the middle or towards the middle, we get like episode 10 and we get low tier free run, which means absolutely nothing to you. But if you've seen the show and you know who low tier god is, you'd be like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. I don't want to give you any spoilers because I think you should watch this. But then
Yeah, yeah, it's matters for sure.
towards the end of the show, they do this because I thought it was going to be a one and done season. It's not. It's continuing. So there is because it's based on a manga, and I don't know how long the manga is, but I looked it up, and apparently the manga is still ongoing, but it's on a break. So I haven't read the manga, and I don't know where that's going to avoid spoiler stuff. But I think they've announced a season 2 is coming. I'll definitely be watching that. Towards the end of Free Run, I think about like episode 17, 18, like sort of more halfway through, they throw in this random like mage training arc. The best way I could describe it, you've never seen Naruto, so you have no idea what a tuning exam is.
No.
But yeah, they basically just they're all like, let's introduce a bunch of random characters that you've never seen before and have them all fight against each other as mages for this random tournament training arc for no reason, kinda. That I was kind of like, this kind of almost feels like filler. I was like, it's okay. We get to like Denken is an interesting character. I like the ice and the water girl. The internet loves you, Belle, the green haired girl. But yeah, I kind of liked the pacing of the show where we were getting closer and closer to Ende, and we were just sort of seeing more of the Northern realms. But then, like, literally, it gets to a point where Stark has nothing to do. Like, he's not in the show anymore, the warrior of their new party, because they're in a mage tournament. So, like, you see like maybe Stark pop up for 1 or 2 episodes. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, well, I got nothing to do. You guys are doing this mage thing. So yeah, the mage arc feels like it kind of slows down the pace of the show a little bit. And I haven't read the manga, but it almost feels like it's filler just to try and get more seasons of the animation in there. But yeah, I still really love the show, and I'm very excited to see more about it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really good.
I just finished Orb on the Movement of the Earth. Did I tell you about this one? It is the
I think so.
it's the anime version of people discovering that the world doesn't revolve around the
Yeah,
Earth, and the horrible
yeah.
things that the church does to people when they contradict their ideas with heliocentrism. Um,
Challenging religious dogma and
mm.
willing to try and keep
This
the status quo.
what I love about this show is it's very like it's come from the perspective of this is science, and this goes against the doctrine of what the church at the time believes in, but it's not like dogpiling on religion. It's actually kind of positive. Like it actually shows the positive of
Why?
religion and stuff like that at the same
Yeah, well,
time.
I see this from the perspective of it because it's in the real world, like you realize that most early scientists were religious. Like
Mm.
they use science to discover more about the religious world they thought they
Well,
lived
because it's
in.
like
Some still believe
they
that.
go into this idea of the show, and you even have people who are like, "Look, we believe in science, but we believe in science as a way of getting to know God
Yeah,
more, as
yeah.
He gave
This is
us
what early
the
philosophers tried to
tools."
do.
Yeah, and I thought Orb was going to be the opposite of Freuren. I thought it was going to be like multiple seasons. Orb is a one and done.
Oh, okay.
It's just end like because I watched the final episode yesterday. Like it just aired, literally yesterday. Um, but yeah, it starts. You get introduced to some really cool characters, and then I was like, oh man, it's hard to talk about Orb if you haven't watched Orb, but like you get introduced to a lot of characters. I was like, they have a lot of potential to talk about more characters through history. And then, because I was waiting for this guy to show up and be like, yo, it's me, Albert Einstein, and I'm here to be relative about shit. That would be so on brand for anime. Just have like, and now
Yeah.
here is Mr. Scientist.
Well, also, if I know again, this is stretching a little bit because, like, Einstein, like, he was a patent clerk, and he then became well. He trained to be a scientist, but it was like his main job was a patent clerk, and then he became a full-time scientist
Yeah.
after like his like big papers. Like, imagine it's like so. I imagine the anime version, like, oh, he work in the office, he's like loads of papers, and then suddenly has an idea and just like forgets all about his job, and like, no, now I'm science man.
But Orb is really good. Definitely one of my favorites from last year. Just and still ongoing because it just finished. Yeah, I think you would like this one as well. I wasn't a big fan of the
Yeah.
ending. I gotta be honest
Okay.
about that.
I
They kind of
I'm gonna
fell
be honest
apart at
with
the
you,
end.
I'm not a big fan of most endings.
Well, this is more like the ending was more like you know films where they go like black screen and then this happened and then this happened and
Yeah.
then this happened
Yeah.
and then this happened, and I'm just like, don't tell me, show me. If it's
I don't
that
even like
important.
games doing that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know some people are like, oh, but like, oh, the original Fallout's explained it. Like, I don't actually like that.
And the ending was
I'd rather just be
the some
shown.
ending parts were also kind of confusing as well.
Oh gosh.
Without going into spoilers, yeah, I I liked the show, but the ending was a little weak.
Yeah. I kind of expect that, to be honest.
And I'm also still watching My Hero Academia.
Still, okay.
I just watched the second movie, Heroes Rising, which I thought was all right. The gimmick in this one is that I might have to explain the show. Deku has a power called One for All, not All for One, which is really confusing because the main bad guy is called All for One, but the power that Deku has is called One for All, and I always mix the two up and say the other interchangeably.
Why did they do? Is that on purpose?
Yeah, it's on purpose. It's because this All for One guy had the ability to take other people's quirks. Quirks are like superpowers, and basically give them to himself or give them to others. And he became like the most powerful supervillain in the world. But he had a brother who had the ability to pass on a quirk and make it more powerful by giving it to somebody else. So he's been passing on this one for all through generations to Deku, which this is because he was quirkless, so he was like. One thing I find really fucking inconsistent in My Hero Academia is they're like, it's really rare to be born without a quirk. Like everyone had some sort of quirk. It's only some people who have really strong quirks who can become heroes. But it's like every time they show normal people in My Hero Academia, they're just like regular humans, and they don't ever show off that their quirk.
Maybe their quirks are just so shit.
But it's like they're like amazed by heroes all the time. They're like, "Oh my god, he has a quirk! That's crazy!" I'm like, "But you guys, supposedly everybody has a quirk. This wouldn't be that novel."
Maybe they're not meant to be. They're amazed that they have a really good quirk, not just that a quirk exists.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's
maybe like a quirk's like, oh, I'm really good at maths, and then
it
this
just
quirk is, oh, I don't know how I don't know how, like, are they like mutant levels of quirks? Like, how does like is it magic levels of quirks? Okay.
There's like people who have like chimera quirks where they can become like giant.
It sounds like
creatures.
it's like if there's an insane, like the average person has like a really boring quirk, but then
they do
really
go
powerful.
into some of the less interesting quirks. So in the like the school they're in, there's what's called a support class, where there's people who aren't, because there's the hero class, people who are studying to be heroes, but then there's people who are studying to be create tools to support the heroes. So there's Hatsume, whose quirk is to zoom in, but she uses that in order to basically build support gear for the heroes.
Right.
But the support class,
that's quite boring.
Yeah. But I just think like sometimes when they show people in the background, they just kind of forget that they're supposed to have some level of quirk to them.
Some level
also,
yeah, sure.
The fucking, I don't know, I thought it was kind of bullshit what they did in this movie, where they just go, and now Bakugo has one for all for this one fight, and then he doesn't, because one for all decided it wanted to go back to Deku, and he completely forgot everything that happened in that fight, so it's non-canon and didn't happen inside the TV series. And it's just like, okay.
Why show it then?
Just for the movie. They just wanted to like, wouldn't it be really cool if Bakugo and Deku had one for all for a fight in a movie?
Could they not think of an interesting reason why it could only happen once or something?
I don't know.
Like they seem like they've gone crazy, and it's like you could almost do anything as a quirk. Like surely like something could happen as a one-off quirk that someone else had to initiate it. I don't know. I don't know how the movie is paced or framed, but
it's very much so.
A bit weird.
They have the movie is like a villain who has like a prototype all for one power. So he's going around stealing quirks, and the high school has basically been tasked with protecting a small island where there shouldn't be much trouble going on. But there is a guy who's a random person. He's not a hero, but his quirk is cell regeneration. So he can like regenerate cells, which could be quite... Because there's like doctors who can heal people. And they're not heroes, but they're like medics inside the world of My Hero Academia. I mean, like they do explain some of like how people with quirks use them in their daily lives outside of being a hero, right? But basically, he needs the main villain needs his quirk because having this many quirks is like killing his body. So he's like, I need cell regeneration, and then I'll be able to be this unstoppable villain for some reason. And he basically takes him, but then he's like, oh no, this quirk is only viable with A-type bloods, and I'm a B-type. But wait a minute, aren't quirks hereditary? I now need to go and find his son on this random deserted island that happens to have the UA high school kids protecting it, doing random tasks like recharging tractors and helping old ladies get home. So yeah, that the plot is they come over, and the whole idea is that they can't get back up, so they have to unleash this insane power because this guy's got multiple quirks, which is almost unheard of outside of the supervillain All for One, which would make you like power scaling would make you extremely powerful to have multiple quirks.
Yeah.
I think like Todoroki has multiple perks. Who has ice and fire because he was like bred by his dad to have the two strongest perks next to each other, which is ice and fire.
Right.
Because the way quirks work is if your parents have a quirk, they kind of combined into a stronger version in the child. I'm just explaining My Hero Academia deep lore now. Like it's not even that deep, but if you haven't seen the show,
Yeah.
But yeah, so the idea is that they cut off telecommunications. They're trapped on this island. This guy's supposed to be super powerful. How the fuck are they supposed to defeat him? Deku goes and so All for One basically destroys your body while using it because it's so strong. Whenever Deku punches something, it like breaks his arm when he uses it 100%. It's like going it's like going Ultra Super Saiyan, All for One. One for all. And basically he's been managing it by only using like 5% or 10% of his power.
Right.
Which is interesting because like I was watching like episode like 80 or something of the series recently, and he basically you get to see 100% All for One at its full power, and it's like, yes, these 80 episodes I've watched, it's all worth it now. I get to see the Super Saiyan moment.
Yeah.
Because he basically there's a person with a quirk that rewinds people, and it's super powerful, but she keeps accidentally killing people with it. And Deku's like, I can just destroy my body quicker than you can rewind me by using One for All at 100%. But yeah, they needed some like insane power to make Deku be able to fight this guy. So they're like, we'll have Deku at 100% All for One and give it to Bakugo at the same time, because we've already established that if you give One for All to somebody else, you can use the embers of One for All to keep fighting, because that's what All Might did against All for One. There's my serious analysis of My Hero Academia. It's a pretty fucking lighthearted show. If you like the reason I like this show is because it's really fucking easy to watch, and it's like fairly good shonen stuff. It's like if you like seeing guys screaming and beating the crap out of each other, you'll like My Hero Academia. There's nothing like too deep to it. Like it's about it.
Light expert.
Yeah. That's the end of my list of things I've been watching and playing. We'll probably do like a Tangerine on Nubby's Number Factory, I think. Probably be the best way to show that off.
Yeah, we'll have the combinations work for sure. Yeah.
I did not expect to talk about My Hero Academia for so long, but there it is.
Here we are.
Let's move on to trailers. Tony Hawk 3+4 they've been threatening to release a trailer for this game, and they've finally done it.
They're threatening to release it.
For the longest time, they had like Call of Duty had like a skate shop with it, and it had like a countdown timer, and everyone's like, oh, they're going to announce Tony Hawk 3 and 4 remastered, and they're like, we've got some crazy news coming up, and people are like, okay, they're going to announce it, and then they just kept teasing it for like ages, and then it came out, and I was like, yeah, this is the thing that everyone was anticipating. It's also, Tony, it's not an Epic Game Store exclusive. It's coming to Steam.
That's wild.
But
would have thought.
Because we're at the point where Microsoft owns the Activision rights now, the Doom Slayer is also coming to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4.
Okay.
So if you get, I think he's in you can have the Doom Slayer Skater and the Revenant Skater in the digital deluxe edition of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
It's just something they put some skins for the deluxe edition.
It's on brand because I think Tony Hawk is one of those games where you would have like I don't know in which one, but you would have a Tony Hawk game, and then you'd also be able to skate as Shrek or Spider Man or something.
Yeah,
Would be one of the
yeah.
skaters, and I think the idea is it would probably be a nightmare to get the licenses for those characters. So it's probably better they just get a character they already own the rights to, but
Yeah,
still
yeah,
have it be
sure.
this crazy outlandish character like the Doomslayer inside
I just
Tony
feel
Hawk.
like we need to sell digital deluxe version of what can we get that's
Oh,
really easy.
they'll. I haven't even read this, but I'm 100% guaranteeing there'll be an early release version.
Yeah,
Pre-purchase digital deluxe edition and receive 3 days early access to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 plus 4. Yep, you can pay another.
yeah.
Tony, you can pay another £20 for the privilege of 3 days.
Guys, just wait. just don't. You don't need to play it right now. Like you're excited for it, just wait.
Next up, we have Silent Hill F. We have the announcement of a brand new Silent Hill game coming from Konami, and
What does F stand for?
fuck, I don't know.
It's not F to pay respects.
It might be. So they're not.
Okay.
They're not going with Bloober Team this time. They're going for Neobards Entertainment Limited. And if you're saying who the hell is Neobards Entertainment Limited, don't worry. I also had to look them up. They made the Resident Evil tie-in multiplayer games, Reverse and
Yeah.
Resistance, which I've played, and they're okay but very forgettable. I think they mostly have done like support studio stuff for a bunch of Capcom stuff, so like Resident Evil, I think some Devil May Cry stuff. But I think this is going to be their first like big solo project. I think it looks pretty good based on the cinematic stuff. Like it's reminding me of that Silent Hill 2 remake sort of style, but more in like a,
An atmosphere.
it's more in that, Japanese rural town, high school sort of thing. It's a lot more Japanese, like, which is weird to say
Yeah.
for a Japanese game. But Silent Hill always felt very location-wise more American, right? Like Silent
Yeah.
Hill was,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Silent 2 definitely
it
is.
was meant to be more like an American town, right?
Yeah, I believe it.
You have American characters, but this feels more Japanese. So it'd be interesting to see where this goes.
The imagery like we're seeing is like indicative of like weird stuff happening throughout the whole game. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I'll be it's not tenuous. I will hamper my expectations, but it could be good. It could be good.
Like small Japanese town, weird shit. This is almost like
Yeah.
Junji Ito sort of stuff that we're
Well,
kind of
just
more going in towards.
I feel like I'm off base with it, but I just feel like Sleepy Town in Japan versus Sleepy Town like England like have similar vibes. There's creepy stuff that can happen.
Potentially, yeah.
I just feel like it's very similar. Maybe just like an island thing. I don't know.
I would probably feel safer in a Japanese town than a English town based on the crime rates, but potential to happen.
Yeah, I just when it comes to monsters, they're probably scary and
you're
monsters in
talking
Japan.
purely supernatural shit. I mean, I've seen my share of yokais in Ghostwire Tokyo, so I know the crazy shit that goes on in the paranormal stuff there.
But there's a paranormal stuff in England is almost always a sleepy town. Some crazy stuff is happening, but you can't really. And a lot of times, because we're low budgets for like our stuff here, you don't even see it. And that's that scary.
What the fuck is going on with that knife? Oh, we got a bit of a face peel. You love to see it. But yeah, they have a store page up. We don't know when this is coming out yet. There's a content warning, and it's
good.
We know it's set in 1960s Japan. So it's a bit of an earlier time as well.
Yeah,
which I think can be
you
nice.
You can't just phone for help.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like with modern horror stuff set in modern day, it's like, well, just phone someone, use the internet.
Like, yeah. I mean, you always you do the power of like communication blackout, and it's like some sort of horror that can do that. Like, I feel like it's an easy thing to put in, but people seem to forget that, and they're saying, yeah, why don't you just phone home?
Next up, we have a Power Wash Simulator 2 announcement, Tony. This came out, and I was like, why? It kind of just looks like Power Wash Simulator again. I was watching the trailer, and I was like, and what is different about the game? So they got
What
some
are you
more.
doing in 2 that you can't do in 1?
So on the store page, they put some more information. So there's a new campaign with a bunch of brand new levels that carry on the story of Muckingham and the mayor and stuff. And I'm like, well, you could have just put this in Power Wash Simulator 1. Better soap. I will admit, soap is pretty shit in Power Wash Simulator 1, the way soap works.
You
So
not patch that in though?
potentially. And then a home base to decorate is the next feature as well, which I guess I think that appeals to a lot of Power Wash fans, because I know a lot of people who play this. It's like a cozy game. Like the idea of decorating a little house would be a really nice addition for people.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
My thinking is one, Square Enix published the first game, and this is self-published now. So I think they're just trying to be okay, we're moving away from Square Enix. But I also know that DLCs and expansions sell way worse than slapping the number 2 onto something and saying it's a new game.
Absolutely.
So I think this is probably one, to be like, okay, we're going to self-publish, and then 2, now we're self-publishing. Let's try and get as much money of the self-published stuff as possible and just be Power Simulator 2. Which, if they add new stuff, like they said they're going to announce more stuff, if they add more stuff, cool, but I feel like this is just like a soft reboot of Power Simulator 1. Like, it just doesn't really look that different to me.
I do feel like if their plan is to like add like mechanically add new stuff in the future, like maybe like hold off on announcing and go like, here's this new thing. I think that would like just be more palatable for people, because it's like, oh, this is the thing that makes it different from 1. I think you do need that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are confused about why this. Some people are saying, if you're going to make a sequel, make better like dirt mechanics. Give me like a better ability to just place my ladder down wherever I want, rather than predestined places. We're going to have to wait until it fully comes out, but I'm assuming this is going to be quite similar to the first game. I mean, it should be based on the fact it's a sequel and people like the first game, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see with this one. Speaking of sequels, Styx Blades of Greed is coming out. It's been a while since we had a Styx game. I think it was Master of Darkness was the first Styx.
I kind of thought they'd like closed down the people made it.
It's been like 10 years, I think, since their last game. Let's have a look.
They've been doing something in between.
Master of Shadow came out in 2014, so that's 10 years ago. And then there was another one called Shards of Darkness, which came out in 2017. So it's been like, what, 8 years since their last game came out? So it's been a while. But I have played some of the original Styx, Master of Shadows, and it's a pretty fun, like, if you like stealth games, like it's a very fun, like, stealthy single player game where you get to be a little goblin just going around fucking with guys and stealing shit. I want to go back and play some more of the Styx games, but from what I remember playing, I had a lot of fun with it. It was just that period of time when I played games and I just played them and then dropped them for no reason and then never finished them.
Oh, right, yeah.
But yeah, interested to see what a new Styx game looks. It looks pretty from the cinematic reveal trailer, so I'm going to guess it's on like Unreal Engine or something like that.
It's this CryEngine one, doesn't it? No, Cyanide, sorry.
Cyanide is the studio, so
yeah, should they're on Unreal, wouldn't they have to have their logo? Or do you not have to have that?
Yeah. But anyway. Next we have Half-Life 2 RTX is coming out with a demo on March 18th, which is a couple days from now, which I will be playing and then complaining that my computer is running really hot and slow.
Yeah.
I've seen this, like I watched some of the Digital Foundry video based on their preview, and oh my god, it looks so good. This, looking at like the RTX stuff in this is how I saw Half-Life 2. Like, I just remember being a kid and my dad built a brand new PC just to be able to play Half-Life 2, and he showed it to me and my brother, and I was like, oh my god, this looks like real life. When I saw Half-Life 2 for the first time, I was like, this is what the future of gaming and graphics looks like. This looks like Gordon Freeman looks like a real person on that box art to me. I'm like, and you know, Alex Vance is a real, like, I think the way they rendered characters, and like you can watch the Half-Life 2 documentary about how much time they put into like people's NPCs' eyes in the game. Like, go back and play Half-Life 2 now. It still looks fucking great. But the fact we can have like an even better looking faithful version with like insane lighting on it. I played Portal RTX, I played Portal RTX Prelude. I'm excited to experience one of my favorite games again with a new coat of paint. Looks absolutely fantastic. Can't wait. And I will be playing the demo.
That's good.
Also, Tony, with the release of this, we have the 1.0 release of NVIDIA RTX Remix.
Yes, I did see that.
This now includes DLSS 4 and neural shaders.
This isn't news, but I just randomly saw it on I was perusing the Nexus Skyrim page. I saw like EMB with DLSS frame gen was a mod.
ENB with
Which I thought
DLSS
was
frame
interesting.
gen.
For the longest time that you couldn't have like EMB and like any sort of DLSS, but I guess it's been projects to try and get it working.
But yeah, it looks pretty cool. I was going to say, I think this is going to be pretty heavy. I mean, from the coverage, I saw John from Digital Foundry playing it, and he was running it at 60 FPS with DLSS performance mode, no frame generation, with all the highest settings. But I'm guessing he was on like a 1590, so I don't know. I might have to turn some of the like ray trace bounces down, and I'm also going to be playing on performance mode. I don't want to turn frame generation on for this. I had to turn frame generation on for Portal, but I think like he was getting like 70 milliseconds of latency without frame generation on, and I was like, holy, that's a little like Half-Life 2 feels pretty fucking smooth to play on. But yeah, I'll have to give it a go and see what it's like. And then it's just one of those things that is just going to always be very heavy until we get like insane leaps in like graphics performance. And
well, I think there's also going to be ways to do it like algorithmically, like, oh, we should have been doing this, and then in line, then oh, we need to add that stat.
Well, we had
physical computation to the GPU itself. I feel like that's going to happen.
We had
some point.
news come out recently where it was revealed that Sony helped AMD make FSR 4.
Yeah.
Which I think we talked about FSR 4 already, where it looks like it's FSR 4 is like at the par of CNN and slightly better in some circumstances, and
it's
then
like 3.5. DLSS 3.5 colors.
Yeah, and then DLSS 4 is a step above, but it's still like very impressive.
They're still very close. Maybe 3.7.
It was announced that
it depends on the game.
Sony had helped develop FSR 4 when creating PSR, but then PSR was like a stopgap to be like, we need something better than FSR 2 on consoles. And now Sony said we're going to be trying to add FSR 4 back to the PS4 Pro in like 2020, 6, I think they've said. So there's obviously
Okay.
something going on where they're like, we've optimized FSR 4 for the 9070, but then we need to backport it to get
Re-engineer
it,
some stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
like get it like maybe like a lighter version running on like the PS5
Yeah.
Pro or something
Tweak
like
some stuff
that.
for the
Yeah.
hardware. Yeah.
Yeah. Next up we have
It might.
we got an announcement with nothing else but them saying they are working on a Space Marine 3. You've been playing Space Marine 1 recently. Did you not want to talk
Yes.
about this?
No, I haven't played it yet. I've now replayed the bit I played before, and I
Right.
remember. So I'm in the last act.
Mm.
But yeah, so complete Space Marine 1, then hopefully I can
Because
play it while Space Marine 2 is on sale.
it's the Steam summer sale at the moment.
Spring sale.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just dreaming ahead to the season I want to be in.
Yeah.
It's the Steam spring sale, and there's been a bunch. Did you pick up any games in the sale?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
I got stuff in my cart, but I don't know if I can justify it.
I was going. I'm always complaining that I don't need to play games, and I immediately cave and start buying games again. I decided to grab. I got. Yeah, you want those games? Those games, right? So here you go. Let's see you clear them. Basically, they like recreate those annoying mobile game ads for
You
fake
got 1 and
games.
2?
I got both of them. Yeah, I've got the cinematic
Yeah.
universe. I said I wanted to pick up Tunic, so I picked up Tunic. I picked up Chrono Trigger because it was like £3. Oh, they had like did you see the deep discount things they had on the main page where they're like, these games are really cheap right now. And it was like
no?
Heavy Rain is £1, and I was like, yeah, I could buy Heavy
Oh,
Rain
right.
for £1. Like, why not?
Oh, the deep discount section. Okay.
Yeah, so it just shows games that are
I
like
didn't see
really
this.
on some of
Okay.
their best deals, like really cheap. And then I've been on YouTube Music, and I've been recommended the No More Heroes soundtrack, and I was like, I kind of want to play the No More Heroes games. So I picked up No More Heroes. I also picked up Nubby's Number Factory, but that wasn't on sale. So I was like, but it is slightly cheaper if you buy it in a bundle with Luck Be a Landlord and you own Luck Be a Landlord, which I do. I think it was like £3 instead of £4, and it's not on sale, so it's a cheap game anyway. Then next up we have Joe's weird VR game of the week. We have Postal 2 VR. I don't know if was anyone asking for Postal 2 VR. I mean,
I can see that working personally.
yeah. It's being ported by Flat to VR, so it's another one of those where we got this great like studio that specializes in taking flat screen games, put them in VR, and working on it. They did the Trombone Champ VR game that looks really cool recently, and they're doing like a RoboQuest VR as well. I don't know if you've seen that. That looks pretty cool. But yeah, you don't really get to see too much of like the actual VR gameplay. They just show like someone walking around with a petition to put it into VR. But yeah,
Zero plays. I don't know. I feel like it should play the way I think it should. But yeah, I guess it'd be nice to actually verify that and see that right.
do they have hand tracked VR? Because they don't really show that off.
You'd hope.
Yeah, you would hope. But yeah, that's coming. I've never played Postal. I don't think I've ever been that interested in playing a Postal game, to be honest with you. They look very weird, and they're based on a film that I haven't seen.
I think it's just you just going crazy with. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything deep about it.
We've got delays, cancellation announcements. Lena Rainey released basically the concept album for the cancelled Celeste game, which I have been listening to. It's pretty good. Definitely feels more like a concept thing. Like, I think it would have been more cohesive if they worked on it, but obviously there's no point finishing an album for a game that got cancelled, right? But yeah, I love the
No.
Celeste soundtrack. I'm a fan of Lena Rainey's work. I think they create a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And
Are they all bangers? They might be.
I, off the top of my head, like they do some of the new Minecraft soundtrack. I really
Yeah.
like the Town of Luncheon from Shikari, I believe, is an rainy one. That's a great song. Speaking of soundtracks, I've been listening to the Wonder Stop soundtrack by Speaking of Minecraft soundtrack, I've been listening to the Wonder Stop soundtrack from C418, and it's pretty good. It's quite a relaxing little soundtrack. I've just been going out on my bike, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to. With YouTube Music, it's like I'm going to listen to the Celeste soundtrack today. I'm going to listen to the Wonder Stop soundtrack. I'm going to listen to the Persona 3 soundtrack and skip Memories of the City and Memories of You, so I don't cry on my bike. You know,
Right.
yeah. We got delays. Killing Floor 3 has been delayed. I've just never really been that interested in. I've played Killing Floor 1 and I quite liked it, and then Killing Floor 2 came out and I played it, and I'm like, I'm not like a big fan of wave-based sit around and just aimlessly kill zombies sort of thing. But it was supposed to be coming out, I
That can be
think,
fun.
sometime 2025. It's now being delayed to late, undecided date late in 2025. That may be changed again. We've yet to see, but if it needs more time in the oven, give it some more time in the oven. I have friends who fucking love Killing Floor, so there's definitely like a appeal to. I always prefer like Left 4 Dead or Zombie Escape from like Source games, where you're sort of more moving around fighting zombies.
I think there's. I
Sort of
think.
my jam.
Yeah, I think there's stuff to do this. Where I quite like some of like the I can't remember which Call of Duty game it is. It's not the first one with zombies. It's like the second or third one in. Where you have interesting characters and you're kind of going back and forth trying to get points to be able to unlock more rooms in like what you're like protecting. I think you need just having somebody like you need more interest than just you're in the center shooting stuff in different directions.
Walk
Like, it needs
to
to
the
be a
same
goal.
3 windows and keep shooting and boarding them up.
Yeah. Which is a bit of a problem with like War of the Worlds zombie mode. Even though it had like technically 2 rooms
Yeah.
as apart from the first one, but they got better and then they got worse after.
Wait, War of the World? World War Z, do you mean?
World at War. No.
What?
Call of
What are
Duty,
you
yeah.
talking about? Oh, Call of Duty. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about.
That was the first zombie
I
game.
thought you were talking about World War Z, which also has a horde
No.
mode, which I've played.
Oh yeah. I've never played that one though.
Oh, okay.
I've played 3 Call of Duties and only for the zombies. So.
Okay. Should we move on to releases and then end podcast? We have Everhood 2 has come out. I downloaded the demo for this and I was going to play it, and then I was like, wait, maybe I should just. I like Everhood 1. Maybe I should just play the game? I don't know. Like, I feel like I don't want to replay it again. I might as well just wait for the full release and then play it. But I was going to see what people were thinking about it first. Everhood 2 is the unfortunate curse of having to live under the shadow of its predecessor. It's the first. One did not exist. The many flaw in Everhood's 2 narrative would not be noticeable or complained about by most players. This sequel improves on almost all of the aspects the original one excelled at. The gameplay, the number of enemies you fight, the charming cast characters. I could go on because this game is truly amazing. The biggest issue Everhead 2 has is its narrative is not rewarding enough for fans who've fallen in love with the first game. You finish the game and you almost feel robbed because of how empty it seems. While 100% completing the game, I thought about the story the game has and the underlying message, although what I previously said is true. I've come to understand that because life is random. The other controversial topic is what hinders the experience of the implementation of the EXP system and random encounters. I understand the idea of the game being more of an RPG, but forcing repeat encounters on the player becomes tedious rather quickly. Yeah, so that's something I saw in the trailer was the first Everhood, you're sort of more just doing boss battle rhythm games, whereas this one seemed more like a JRPG with like random encounters and you had equipment and stuff like that. But yeah, some people didn't like. It's longer is not better. The first game could be beaten about 4 or 5 hours. Well, how long is this one? Let's look it up. How long to beat Everhood 2? How much longer is it? 8 hours, 10 for sides. Okay, so it's like maybe twice as long, but people are saying it sometimes feels empty. Maybe I'll check this one out when it goes on a bigger sale and see what it's about. Split Fiction came out, Tony, and this game looks really good. I've multiple friends who are playing this right now and seem to be having a very good time, and I've not watched any of it because I don't want to get spoiled. I've played every Joseph Fares game, and I will continue to do so until I ran out of people to play with.
I'm yet to play a Joseph Fares game.
Well, I was saying to you, would you potentially want to play this game with me? Because I was like, I need to find somebody to game this through, and I think you would like the
like it's
Joseph
got
Fares
like a lot
games.
to say as well. Like, I feel like you're gonna get something out of it. I think that's the Joseph Fares strategy at this point, right?
One thing I've found with Joseph Fares games, they seem to be like, as time goes on, it's like the mechanics of the game get better and better and better and better and better and better. But I almost feel like the story becomes less and less and less and less important as they go. Like, Brothers is such an amazing like story.
Yeah.
And then it's like the mechanics are kind of awful, and then like A Way Out is like the story is pretty good, and then the mechanics are okay. It Takes Two has amazing mechanics, and I'm like, I don't really care about the story at all in that game.
But I think a lot of people do like the story of that. I feel like is it not really just like the types of stories that you care about, like not gelling as well as. I think for a lot of people, It Takes Two is very powerful.
I don't know. Personally, I didn't. I found it a bit
that's
inconsistent and a bit all over the place with its messaging. But yeah, it still was a very fun game to play just for the mechanics. Like, it feels like a game that's just like, let's do this shit because it's fun, not because, we have to.
I do appreciate that.
That came out on the 6th of March. I will be looking to probably pick this up in a sale, I think, somewhere later down the line. Unfortunately, all my friends have wives now, so I can't play Split Fiction with them,
They've already played it with their wives?
Yeah. Cheetah.
That was surprising, like two couples played this that we know.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's very popular to play with couples now. Cheaters came out the 10th of March. Everyone will be given actual cheats in this multiplayer shooter. Use wall hacks and aimbots to your advantage and dominate the other cheaters. The winner will get to ban all the losers. So let's see.
Is that how that works?
So look. Really wanted to like this. Unfortunately, it's just not in the state where it's all that fun and replayable. I've played for under an hour and I feel like I've experienced all there is with the game. We'll definitely consider revisiting in the future if things change. But as of right now, I'd pass on it. Feels like it's just novelty to try once and be like, that was funny. Anyway, I could see the game being better in the future, maybe. Somebody said Counter-Strike 2 simulator. Okay. Yeah, it kind of seems like a gimmick game, right? Like, it's like, it's an interesting story, but it's just like not something you would keep playing. I mean, it's pretty cheap. It's on sale. It's like £6, but
it's an idea that you remember. Maybe need something else to keep you. Maybe.
Yeah, the 11th of March, Rise of Ronin came out, and I've heard it's another awful, fucking Team Ninja port, PC port.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah. It's like, you see on the PS5 and it's like, oh, this looks pretty good. This looks really fun. And they're like, we're going to release it on PC. And they just go, just move a couple of fires over, break everything, put it on the PC.
It'll work fine.
Great game, extremely poorly optimized. Can absolutely not recommend it until they make it better on PC. Please fix. The optimization is downright terrible. When the city or some map your character moving in slow motion and lagging, the game uses GPU and CPU at 80 to 90%. My GPU is a 36, your CPU Ryzen 3900. If you want to buy the game right now, don't make it because this game needs an update. That's a pretty fucking weak system you've got. But I've heard it is not the best optimized overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like you should be able to like. We've seen evidence of this for like better optimized games because like you can put on low, it makes it run much better, and you know what? It still looks alright. You don't have like the fanciest things. Your draw distance for like grass might be not as great. It might be like really simplifying like the like they go to really low polygon the quicker, but it still looks pretty good.
But yeah, I think this is, I don't know, because I feel like Neo, was it Neo that was unoptimized as well? There was definitely that. Who did the Wulong Fallen Dynasty game that came out on PC that was pretty bad? Was that Team Ninja as well? Because that game was really, yeah, it seems like this is Team Ninja as well. This game was like a fucking awful PC port.
I think they need help from some other studio, like a support studio, to like.
They need Nexus to come over and be like, okay, we're going to fix this up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there are other ones as well. Like I feel like it's not just that. I just feel like they need the time and budget to do this.
Wonder Stop came out on the 11th of March. I think we looked at this on a Next Fest video, didn't we?
Yes.
But yeah, it's because somebody was saying like, I thought it was going to be like a super slow paced game based on the demo, but then in the full game, it gives you like crazy things to do. So I was like, oh, that's kind of confusing because I also thought that based on the demo, it was going to be like a really slow paced game that was more about like avoiding over engineering farming and rather just trying to have fun, just having fun doing nothing and just fighting burnout. I never thought I would find a way to speak in the same breath as Spiritfarer, but Wonder Stop is it. It deals with an incredibly delicate issue of burnout and trauma and deals with it with the respect, care, and love that it should be. Please play it. It's an extremely brilliant experience that sure will touch you as well. Did I enjoy my time in Wonder Stop? Yes, most definitely. Yeah. Did I truly enjoy Wonder Stop? Maybe, perhaps this isn't so simple to answer. It's not a cozy game. You will brew tea and tend to your humble shop and nurture your garden. In this particular magical grove, hidden among an unfamiliar forest, perhaps there really weren't. But perhaps that isn't really why you arrived. You've come here to understand why you're here, and perhaps more importantly, why you aren't where you tell yourself you wish to be. Confused me at first, perhaps even frustrated me, but then I met customers, each brought their own story, their own truths. To pause a moment, reflect, beautifully layered, yet ever elusive, slipping away. I feel this is going to be this game I'm just not going to fully understand until I fully play it. I was thinking about that sword again recently, because the thing that stuck with me from the demo was the idea of the sword fighter who has the sword that is too heavy to lift. And the whole time I was just thinking about, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, it's not hard to go outside and go out on my bike, but sometimes it just feels a little harder. It feels like it's harder to do stuff sometimes. And it's just like, there is the idea that sometimes we get, like sometimes I get in the way of myself having fun, and I don't know why. Do you ever get that feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. But my response to that at the moment has been like, maybe I'm just not thinking I don't need to do that. Like I shouldn't beat myself up and not want to do that, even though I think I should be. Like I can't switch to be like, I'm not getting in the way of myself. I just need to do something different.
Right. Okay.
It's kind of how I've switched it up.
So look, my final game, Midnight Murder Club. Heart-pounding, hilarious multiplayer FPS fun. Trust your senses and overcome your fears. You're armed with a flashlight and a revolver, then set against your friends in a pitch-black mansion with immersive proxy chat and surprises around every corner. Another multiplayer game, so this could be hit or miss depending on how many people are playing it. But the idea that everything is just pitch black and you're just trying to desperately figure out where people are, it kind of intrigued me. Great game with friends, free for all wildcard with a big hit with our group. The other modes are fun too. More maps will bring some longevity to the pick. Pick it up if you have a group of friends to play with. Yes, you'll have to sign in with PSN, but it's worth it even if you don't have an account. Oh, is it a PlayStation publishing thing? So you need to log in with a PSN account. Oh, okay. Yeah, this seems like one of those games where if you could convince a bunch of friends to play it, it would be really fun. But if you go into random lobbies,
the most fun I've had in this game.
it might not be that fun. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds interesting, but yeah.
I'm beyond, Tony, I just turned 30. I'm beyond the years of trying to convince my friends all to buy into a random multiplayer game we might play once a month, potentially. Leave this one for the young'uns. We actually have a Molydeux tweet this week, Tony. It's crazy. He's a bit of an elusive man on formerly Twitter Mr. X himself, Peter Molydeux. Imagine refunding a game was part of the game. The only way to see the true ending is to send it and receive a video link with your receipt. Kind of reminds me of a lot of Peter's more recent games where you want to refund them.
Sorry. So this isn't Peter Molyneux pretending to be Peter Molyneux criticizing a recent Peter Molyneux game. This is real Peter.
This is not real Peter.
But yeah, I guess yeah, it is a lot like the real Peter's games, right? At least it feels that way at the moment. What's the last good Peter game?
Peter. Oh god, that's a great question. Milo?
That would have been great, yeah.
Is it Goddess?
It's not Goddess.
You don't like Goddess?
No. Just play Populous.
Fable 3?
People like Fable 3?
People liked... You remember the Trail? Apparently people liked the Trail.
Oh yeah, that's true. The tablet game.
Yeah, it was very much felt like a phone walking simulator, but they also brought it to PC.
It was one of the good ones.
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't my thing, so I didn't.
Yeah, I don't think it's my thing either. You can check us out youtube.com at Everything In Between Podcast, twitch.tv/Scorn if you want to watch live, and shows.cast.com/everything-in-between-podcast if you want to get the audio version. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.